The Resident Evil remake is finally here and I'm so excited! Haven't you guys noticed by now that I'm pretty much excited about everything, especially if it involves video games? Anyway, the Resident Evil series is one of the defining moments of my gaming life, I guess you could say. The original Resident Evil I played throughout my childhood, even though I was terrified of them and could barely complete them. I remember me and my friends playing on the playground, fighting over who got to play as Chris Redfield and Barry Burton with sticks as guns, and oh my god. The first 3 original Resident Evil games were the first games that really got me into my PlayStation and got me really into games and kind of made me the game player person I am today. And then, when the Resident Evil remake came out, which I still have, I held on to this sucker, that's how much I liked it. This really defined my teenage years because I was reliving those moments. And now here we are a third time as me, a grown man-child, reliving it again. And Resident Evil Remake is still pretty damn good. It's also still exactly the same thing as the GameCube version, but now you can play it on your PS4, your Xbox One, or any of the other major consoles. And it is so worth it, you guys. I can't stress that enough. It's like 20 bucks and you should go and play it right now, especially if you've never played Resident Evil before. I highly implore you guys to check it out. Of course, this is coming off as a really biased review, isn't it? God, I mean, okay, there are some problems with it. Of course, you get the original game. Nothing has really changed. There is a new control scheme. The game defaults with the old classic control scheme, the very slow, clunky, tank-like controls that people call it, and I think they're perfect for the game and make the game part of what it is. That being said, you can switch it to a more traditional analog control where the player automatically runs when you push the stick all the way, and I don't like that because this is a game where you should walk a lot because it's scary, you know? Does that make sense? Also, other improvements this version includes is more detailed characters and beautiful HD graphics. Of course, that's great, but the problem I do have is that there's a widescreen option now, which makes you play in widescreen, which is fucking awesome, right? Except it kind of crops things out a little bit during cutscenes, and it doesn't look as good as I wanted it to. That being said, that is a really, really minor complaint, and pretty much the only complaint I have about Resident Evil. Oh, and they added weird boob physics to Jill, which I don't mind. I like boobs a lot. They're just a little distracting. It's weird. I don't know how Capcom thought, we don't need to change anything about this game, except Jill needs super bouncy boobs that look like they're floating in space. Besides that, what you're getting here is an absolutely fantastic survival horror game. It is the one, for me, that started it all, and it is a lot of fun, and it is perfect in so many ways. Awesome characters, that nice little bit of Japanese cornballiness, that classic horror with lightning strikes and sound effects and zombies that are actually pretty scary and slow and stupid. Clunky inventory management where you really gotta keep track of what you hold on to at certain times. Not unlimited saves, no auto saves, you gotta save with a typewriter the old-fashioned way. It is a lot of fun, it's very challenging. Granted, somebody like me, I breezed through it in 3 hours, but, you know, I've been playing this since before some of you were born. But I seriously can't stress enough how beautiful and scary and creepy this game is in the most classic sense. The fact that the game has these pre-rendered images as backgrounds with fixed camera angles makes it one of the most beautiful games I've played back on GameCube, and that still stands today. And now with little added particle effects, it just makes the environments look a little bit better. It's just such a great exercise in mood with the sounds, the environments, the lightning strikes, the lighting. Everything is absolutely perfect and so spooky, and I can't get enough of it. I've already played through as Jill, because you always play as Jill first. That's a tip for you newbies out there. And I'm halfway through Chris's campaign, which is of course 10 times harder. So if you hopped on board with the Resident Evil series with Resident Evil 4 or something like that, this is the perfect time to hop back into the original Resident Evil and experience what the fuss is all about, because holy shit. I hope you guys can tell from the gameplay I recorded, it just looks absolutely incredible. Don't expect a crazy action game because there's not a lot of shooting, there's not a lot of bullets, there's a lot of quiet downtime, which is just as scary, and there's a lot of classic puzzle solving. So if you're not into that, that might bother you a little bit because you got to find a lot of keys and crack open a lot of statues and do a lot of stupid things, but I can't get enough of it, so I really hope you guys enjoy it as well. But I really can't get enough of it, and I know a lot of you guys can't as well. So let me know in the comments. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about Resident Evil. Do you love the remake? Do you love Resident Evil? Resident Evil 1 and 2 are my favorites. I think Resident Evil 2 is my absolute favorite because that game is just on a whole nother level. And honestly, maybe if everybody runs out and buys this, maybe they'll finally re-release, remake, re-upgrade Resident Evil 2, which is what I know so many people want. But anyway, guys, like I said, let's talk about it down in the comments below. Or if you're following me on Twitter, tweet me about it. Let's talk about Resident Evil. Also, giving me a like on this video definitely helps me out. Also, some housekeeping out of the way real quick. I don't know if many of you listen to it, but the Because Video Games podcast has a new episode, and now it has a new name. It is the Because Podcast. So there's a link below. Check it out. It's really funny. We don't talk about video games that much. It's more of us just being idiots, but it's definitely worth checking out. And of course, this video is also made possible, as always, to you wonderful people on Patreon supporting me. Thank you so much. I got some more things planned down the pipeline for you guys, so look forward to that. But as always, guys, I'm Jake Baldino. You can like me on Facebook, you can watch me on Twitch, you can yell at me on Twitter, and you can subscribe because video games.
Chris, this way.